This story is brought to you by the Health and Homeopathy podcast.
I know I will say my Ignatia 200. I have taken that twice a day on multiple occasions. Maybe I'm just taking it for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And I really have a lot of hope. When I've been postpartum multiple times, I've had postpartum anxiety. And so I have gone on Zoloft for, like a tops of 5 or 6 months postpartum. And then I basically make myself get off of it because I don't want to be on it. But it's so hard because I start having panic attacks. And where I'm not sleeping, I go to lay down and my body is shaking. And we still want to have more babies. And that is a remedy I'm very much looking forward to having another pregnancy where I get to utilize homeopathy in it. And super, super excited to get to use like cell salts and just like helping my hormones and like any kind of pain management or whatever, and specifically postpartum, because I never want to go on Zoloft ever again. I think it's terrible. But I do think that sometimes you're at a point where you're like, I'm not able to function, and you have to get to a place where you're able, whether that's like you're seeing a counselor and like dealing with the issue that's at hand or whatever the fear is or whatever, or like being able to come off of it, because I don't like to be dependent on anything. And so that is definitely a remedy that I want to say around the time that we had the election, basically, I started to get this feeling that I wasn't depressed and I wasn't anxious. It was something else. It was in February when everything was like being finalized and stuff. And I started to notice, I could tell you now what it was, is I was mourning. It wasn't exact, and I never had that happen before, but I knew that something was very off with me. I would just see, I'm a very, obviously you can tell, very talkative, extroverted, outgoing person. And I would just catch myself just being quiet and just like thinking too much and being like, what is the future of my kids going to look like? And my thoughts are just going so far that way. And I don't know if someone recommended it on the group and I said something, or I talked to someone else and so you should try it, Ignatia, twice a day. And I was like, okay. I think at that point I hadn't really had any anxiety issues or anything, so I hadn't really seen it be effective. Well, I went ahead and I took it, and you better believe the first dose, I noticed a difference. And I want to say by the third dose, I was back to my old self again. So within a day and a half. And so I knew that something was definitely off. It was like I was almost going too far into like grieving. And that was really crazy to see that. That was like, I definitely started encouraging other women if they have I find a lot of women who are have a lot of social anxiety or just get very anxious, and they just kind of live in a state of anxiety. Please give this remedy a try.
Be sure to like and subscribe and share this story with someone who needs the healing power of homeopathy.